Hey everyone, welcome to From the Kitchen Table. I'm Sean Duffy, along with my co-host for the podcast, my partner in life, and my wife, Rachel Campos Duffy.
That's right. It is the day after Valentine's Day, and a lot of controversy around Valentine's. So our good friend Julie Banderas went on Greg Gutfeld, and she she said blank Valentine's Day. And I get it. She's going through a divorce. But actually, therapists have said that when a married couple does not celebrate Valentine's Day, that's one of the first predictors that there's a problem. And so,
do we have a problem?
Like Valentine's Day. No, we actually planned a really nice Valentine's Day. And then what happened?
So we were going to go, because I had to work last night doing the Bottom Line, Fox Business. So Rachel was going to be a guest for Valentine's Day. Yeah. And we were going to go to dinner after. However, the morning of Valentine's Day, yesterday morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, our 6-year-old came in and was sick and started throwing up. And so he had to stay home from school, which means you couldn't come in, which means we didn't go to dinner. But we put the kids to bed when I got home, and we hung
out. We were going to order sushi. That went down the wayside. We didn't end up doing that.
She wanted, yes.
So anyway, we ended up...
For a number of reasons.
But long story short, we got a drink. We popped some popcorn. We watched a movie. We hung out. It was nice.
Yeah, they were just a little tired this morning. So
we are a little tired this morning. But it's an interesting topic because... just the idea of marriage and commitment is a controversial topic right now in society. So if you look on TikTok, there's these trending videos. They're called the videos are dinks. Do you know what a dink is, Sean?
I did read it. And now I can't remember.
They're dual income, no kids people.
Yes.
So they are actually married but with no kids and sort of showing off this amazing lifestyle that they have. There's also the idea of, not getting married at all, having no kids. That's we've talked about that many times in our, on our podcast about people who say that's the way to be happy, have no kids, think about the environment, spend the money on yourself, don't get married.
Which is whenever Rachel finds a woman to talk to, she's like, that is the worst. Yeah. Way to live your life.
And I've been proven right because there are studies, and they've shown for a long time, first of all, that like Republican women are much happier than Democrat women, liberal women, yep. That conservative men are happier than liberal men. Actually, the least happy group are liberal men. That's always been. But now this is. But now the study you're looking at right now, Sean, is about marriage. So in general, happy or not happy or conservative women are the happiest. Liberal men are the least happy. But now there's these studies that are showing where they look at Republicans who are married and Democrats who are married, and they say 48%, for example, of Republican men, that would be you, Sean.
That's me.
Are completely satisfied with their marriage.
I'm in that 48%.
Yep. Only 36% of men are Democrat men. Also, conservative women are more than 2 times happier than liberal women.
Now, conservative men are happier than conservative women, I would, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's interesting. And can you?
And you wonder, they speculate about why.
Well, you go there. You can tell us why.
Well, according to this study, they think it's about gender roles, that Republican conservatives have more traditional gender roles. So there's less fighting and there's a better natural understanding about what our roles are. So when there's a noise outside in the middle of the night, we're not debating about who's going out.
Right.
When there's trash to be thrown out, it's your job. And I love to cook. I love to keep the house neat. I kind of take charge of that. That is sort of the idea of this. That's what they say in this study.
Well, I think it's.
Do you think that's true, Sean?
To have two men, to have a man and a woman who both want to be men, wouldn't work very well. Or two women that both want to be men, or both women, wouldn't work well. You actually, if you look at over the course of thousands of years, we've developed into these roles, and it's seemed to work for a really long time. And now we have liberals who say we're going to throw away all of this history, all of this tradition, and we're going to remake these gender roles. And what they find is they're not happy. But I think something else is at play. When you talk about the dinks, what's the
dinks are the dual income, no kids. By the way, their videos are so fun. Like they're like, I personally I would like their lifestyle for like 5 minutes, and then I would be so bored. Like they show themselves
2 weeks, 2 weeks would be great.
Yeah, maybe for a vacation, like when we go on vacation for like a week. So they get up on a Saturday morning, they lay in bed, they make matcha lattes, then they read a little more, then they get up, then they get ready, and maybe they go to the farmer's market, then they come back, then they go out to dinner. It all sounds really nice and quiet, but it also seems really boring to me. Maybe I'm just used to a lot of chaos.
Well, because at the end of life, if you ask people and look at studies, they'll say, I'm so glad I had that matcha, or I went to the farmer's market. My life was so full. Listen, everyone says, of course that's not the case. Your family makes you happy. Your relationship with your wife and your kids and your own parents, that's what brings joy and happiness to someone's life. Giving to others, helping other people out gives people joy. And what you find in today's culture is so many people are focused on themselves.
Right.
And how much money can I make? And by the way, we know there's no correlation between money and happiness. Money does not make you happy.
No.
So
some of the most unhappy people I've met.
So as you focus on trying to make money, you're focusing on something that won't give you joy and happiness and fulfillment in your life. And I think there's another thing that wasn't mentioned here, Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
On average, conservative or Republican married couples probably are people more of faith.
Yeah,
and liberals are not, and Democrats, and I'm speaking generally, probably as a percentage are less likely to be faithful people or church-going individuals. And again, if you look at family and faith, in giving and sharing in community, those are the things that make people fulfilled in their life, give them a rich life. And that goes back a long time. Now, by the way, if you're stuck in the kitchen, if you're stuck, working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, there's going to be some problems with happiness. You got balance in your life. But if you
forced me to cook, I would not enjoy cooking.
There's no forcing going on here. Rachel likes to cook.
I love to cook. I like to be in my house. Generally, even the Valentine's debate was, you did make reservations at a really nice restaurant that I liked in the city, and I was really excited to go. But generally, Sean's like, should we go out to dinner? And I'm like, let's just stay home. Because that's kind of, I'm a homebody, and I don't mind that.
We thought we could have issues with Valentine's Day. So we actually went out on Saturday night together as well to go, let's do a preemptive.
We did a pre-Valentine's dinner on Saturday night. We went really early because I get up at 3 a.m. on Sunday for work. So we went out at like 5, like old people in nursing homes. And
enjoyable.
Yeah, but it was fun. We went out, and thank God we went out on Saturday because our life is so unpredictable. Unlike the dinks who can just hang out, stuff happens. And so when our son, woke up puking at 3 a.m, there goes Valentine's Day.
And just to go back to this point, when you talk about, for 5 minutes, I'd like to live the dink life, but
for a week.
But a week. So if we go away we've gone a couple times over the last couple of years away for like 5 days together, and at the end of 5 or 6 days, we're like, we want to go home. We want to see our kids. We want to be with our
except for the time that we went to St. Thomas. Do you remember? And we kept extending our vacation. I was like, I don't want to go home for a couple days.
I couldn't get her to go on vacation. Then she went and she didn't want to come back.
I didn't want to go. I was like, we can't. The kids, we can't. And then we went on vacation, and then I was like, let's just stay one more day, see if we can just, make it happen one more day. And we called and had, the sitter stay one more day. And then we're like, let's just stay one more day. And then after the second day, Sean's like, listen, that's it. We got to go home.
But this is true.
But it is true. We do end up missing the kids by the end.
We do. And I look at, sometimes it's crazy. We've had conversations about, we have all these kids around us. And if we're honest, kids are a lot of work. Yeah. They're a lot of fun, but we still are in diapers. We're not in diapers, but our kids. We
will be, and they will help. We will be one day.
We've had diapers in our life since, 9 months after we were married until today. We haven't stopped. Almost 23 years of diapers. Never been out of them. And you know what? Do I mind that? Yeah, listen.
When we went on vacation without Valentina, that was really nice with all the other kids, and we left Valentina with my mom. But it is, listen, it's more work, but I wouldn't trade 1 second for it. So a lot of times people ask me, what is the secret? Because I posted yesterday a picture from our last family vacation, and one of our kids took a picture of us hanging out in the water, and we were kissing, and I posted it, and I had just so many comments and people saying, like, what is, you guys have been married. We're going on what?
Almost 24 years.
Almost 24 years in a couple months. It'll be 24 years, 9 kids. We still like hanging out together. What is the secret? And so I'm going to pose that question to you, Sean.
So you're putting that on me. You're putting that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Okay. Yeah. So listen, then we're
going to get to your love poem after that.
So I look at us and I go, I think if and I say this a lot, if you think marriage is always bliss and you marry someone that's just going to be perfect, it's not. Like, we'll fight on occasion. Once in a while. And that's normal. And I've said this a lot, but anything that is fulfilling and meaningful takes work.
Yeah.
Nothing comes easy. And if you go through the work of a marriage and you can, navigate your differences, and I think we've done it at the start of our marriage, we did a good job of setting up rules of how we're going to fight and how we're going to argue and how we're going to disagree. And we usually will stick to those rules. Sometimes we'll break them, and then after we're like, "You broke the rules of argument. You can't do that." But I think being respectful in fights is a key.
You can't take back some of the stuff you say, and that's one of the hard parts. That's hard.
And I think there's also, if you don't work through the issues that you have in your marriage, you build up resentment, and that feeling of that fight, though the moment might pass, it still sits in you because you never resolved it. And then something small can happen, in a disagreement, and it can be explosive because it's not just that fight. It's not just that argument.
Yeah,
it's all of these other things that were never resolved, and they build on each other. And then people start to not like each other. And so if you can get through your disagreements and navigate them and come to peace or resolution on them, then the next fight you have, you're not fighting over the last fight or the last year of fights or the last 5 years of fights. You're just fighting about that fight because you've resolved the other ones. I think that's really key. And my mom's a big liberal, and I love her to death. And there's a lot of great things I got from Carol, my mom. But she always talking about the way I feel, right? This is what I feel. I feel like you're saying this to me, as opposed to you are saying. I'm not putting my belief on Rachel. I'm telling her the way she makes me feel, because I only know how I feel, not how you feel. And you can't argue against what I'm telling you, what you're doing and how you're feeling towards me. I only know how I feel. Does that make sense?
What you're saying. So first of all, let me just
break it down.
Let me break down
what I just said. Yes.
Let me go back because I think
Rachel explains what I'm saying.
No. I know, not at all. I think the key of what you're saying is that communication is important. And so if you're dating someone who's not a good communicator, you better learn to make him or her into a better communicator, because the relationship is the most important thing is communication. Everything that you said up until now was about communication and talking through things. You can't negotiate. You can't come to an understanding unless you're actually communicating about it. So I think that's the most important. And I think what you're saying, these skill sets that you learned, I think from your mom and from your family history, right? In your family, there was a point in his family when they were growing up where he had a brother who, had, a substance abuse problem. And it ended up being that the whole family ended up in therapy.
I was too little. I didn't go.
But he got all the skill sets of that, which means, for example, like what you were saying, if you are mad at me about something I'm doing, you don't say, you're doing this. You said, what you're doing makes me feel like this, or I feel like you're saying this. And that brings the temperature down and allows me some space to see what your point of view is, but maybe explain my point of view. I think that's all really important. I know I didn't come with all of those skill sets. I learned a lot through Sean, but here's what I did bring. And I'm going to give you an example from J-Lo and Ben Affleck to explain what I did bring to the table. I didn't bring all the therapy to the table and all the great things that you can learn from that. But there's this, they had was it the Grammys that was the other day? And there was a moment where Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, you know this because I sent you the clip of it.
You told me about it. I never.
So
Watched it.
J-Lo is saying something to Ben Affleck, and it looks like she's being really stern. And so, anyway, the tabloids exploded, right? And they were like, their marriage is on the rocks. They're fighting in the middle of the Grammys. And I looked at that and I was like, no, that's a Hispanic woman. She's just talking about something like this, like exactly the way I'm doing it right now. And if a Latina woman is mad,
you know it.
Exactly. You know it. There's no speculation.
There's no debate.
There's no debates. And so what I think I brought to the table is something very cultural, but I think very healthy. And you see it in Hispanic cultures. You see it in Italian cultures. And that is that, and it's not always the greatest thing, but it is a good thing, which is we say exactly what we think. And if I'm mad, you're going to know I'm mad. And we're going to talk about it because I'm not going to, they say still waters run deep. I am not a still water. If I'm upset, everyone knows why. Everyone knows I'm upset, and then we can talk about it.
It's kind of a raging river.
I am a raging river, and you can't talk about things and get to this understanding that you're talking about, which is so important for marriage. If you keep tucking your feelings down and you don't say what's bothering you. Now, I'm not saying that you should be a raging bitch and talk and explode on everything, but you got to say what you think, and I think that's really important.
Well, to be honest with yourself, I'm angry about
and
something,
be honest with the other person.
And I want to talk about it. So we always say, let's not sweep it under the rug, right? So if you have a fight, you have an issue,
or be an ostrich and stick your head in the ground.
Right. We've learned that never works well for us.
Yeah.
So listen, I do think that there are certain traps that you can fall into in marriage.
Sure.
There's certain ways out of those traps, and if you care about a marriage and your family and the commitment, you can listen to people, you can read about it and go, there's ways that we can work together to get through these differences, and there will be. And you might be married for 24 or 84 years together, and it's a pretty beautiful institution.
Can I say this too? Here's the other part. So we spend a lot of time in our lives talking about a lot of stuff, like our work. People plan out their careers and they prepare for things that they have to do at work, So my point is, we spend actually a lot of time talking about our marriage and our family. We actually do. And it's a sign that you should not, it's not a sign that, things aren't going well that you talk about. It's a sign that you care about it.
It's important.
It's important. If our marriage is not going well, everything in this house is not going well. It's sort of like, it's not going to go well.
It's like mama's not happy.
It's not about that. I mean, that's
happy.
True. That is true.
Right. If we're not getting along, if we're not doing well,
if we're not building this marriage and making it strong, the entire outfit falls apart. Everything falls apart.
But also,
so don't feel bad spending time like sitting on the couch, spending an hour talking about whatever happened. I mean, I'm not saying you should fight, but you should talk about it and get to some resolution.
And there's something that Bonginos said that we've tried to do, we don't do as well, but we went down, was it last year we went down for Valentine's Day and did a special
with Jan and Paula Bongino.
Yeah, they're wonderful. But they do date night I think once a week.
Easier for them because their kids are older. And
so we've tried to do more of that, and it's hard for us to get away. But and so it brings me to another point that we talk about our schedules a lot. So
we do.
You have the weekend Fox and Friends, but Fox and Friends has you do a number of things oftentimes throughout the week.
Yeah, I'm leaving tonight to go to Florida ahead of the Daytona.
By the way,
NASCAR race.
What are you going to do when you're down there?
So I'm going early. I should just be there for Friday to do diners and then the weekend, but I'm going early because something I didn't want to do. But Sean was like, "You're not allowed to say no to this.
You can't turn this down."
Go ahead.
She's going to fly with the Thunderbirds.
I am.
So I'm like, what an amazing experience. Who gets to fly with the Thunderbirds?
You got to fly with.
I did, but I was a congressman, but you don't get these opportunities. So I'm like, you have to do it. She's going to get sick. She's probably going to pass out. They're going to have it on video, and it's going to be great. But you take those opportunities. So she has to go a day earlier. So my point is, we navigate our schedules, and what I'm doing, what you're doing, what the kids are doing, and we're probably more than most people because we have so many kids, and our schedules can be in flux. But we do it because it's also important to figure out, when are we going to be together?
Yes.
When are we going to cut and carve time for us? When are we cutting and carving time for the kids?
Yes.
Because if you don't think about those things, life can just happen. And
you're on a hamster wheel and you don't even know what's going on.
We make a big deal about, we don't want to live separate lives. And I think that's a problem. If you have, if you have two people that live separate lives, separate friends, separate careers. I didn't marry her because I want to have a separate life. I married Rachel because I want to have a life with her. And so figuring out how we meld and mold our lives together is really important for us. And that's part of scheduling and making sure we're doing things. Last year I went to Daytona with you. I went to Talladega with you as well.
Yeah.
Fox and Friends brought me down. Now, because of our schedules, now I'm going to stay at home with all the kids. Because of just my schedule, I want to spend some time with them. I've had enough time with you. Just kidding. But I'm not going to go down.
Yeah.
But those are real things that I think married couples have to think about.
Yeah,
building lives together.
Yeah, managing the schedule, but also carving out time, taking time, not feeling like you're wasting time, talking about your relationship, talking about your childhood, or how you were raised and how that's impacting how you're acting out in your relationship, because we all bring all that stuff into our own marriage. So I just think when people have asked me, what is it? I mean, there's a lot of stuff. First of all, chemistry matters, right? I mean, I really love you and I'm very attracted to you, and that's
I love you and I'm attracted to you.
Exactly.
Wow.
And that's a really important component. But it's also about, if this is an important relationship, you're going to give it the time that it needs to flourish, to make it the best that it can be, to know that it's more important than talking about your career, than talking about,
but your career,
random stuff. Your career is important, but nothing is more important than this. The career will work itself out. Because if your marriage is good, and that's what I tell women all the time, and they're like, how do you balance, how do you balance, work and family and your career? And I'm like, listen, get your love life right and everything else will work out. If you marry the right person, they're going to support you in your dreams and your passion, your career. Marry the wrong person, everything goes bad. It's like a dark cloud.
And that's a problem with what liberals have done. They said, listen, you can be happy if you stay single and you put your life into your career. And if you advance in your career and you make more money, that'll bring you happiness. And I think to the first point of this conversation, which liberal women are not as happy, it's because they're putting their time and energy, they're investing in things that don't bring happiness, because your career will not make you happy. We've said how many times, your corporation doesn't love you.
No.
It will not. At the end of life, it won't be there with you. Rachel says they're not changing your diapers. They're not there to assist you in the hard times in life. They're not going to hold
your hand on your deathbed.
No
one at your corporation, your company is going to do that.
There's good people in your corporation that you probably are friends with, but they won't love you. Making money isn't fulfilling. Money's great, but it doesn't fulfill you.
Makes life easier.
And so Rachel always brings the point up: find love, find someone that you can share your life with. And be together and be happy together, and raise a family with. And I think that's really good advice. And I think too many men and women get advice that tells them to do something else,
or tells them to do it first. So for women, I think,
them empty.
Yeah, for women, I think what it is they say, and this was mentioned in this study that they were talking about. It's like, they tell you have to do it in this certain order. You have to, get your education, which I think is a great thing to do. I've got mine. But you have to prioritize your career, make a lot of money. And then once you accumulate this money, then you can get married. Then you accumulate a little bit more money. Then you can have kids. By the time that happens, you're like almost 50. I mean, so again, this sequencing thing is weird. The most important thing in your life is your love life. Get your love life. And I say this for men and women, but I think the pressure on women to do it in a certain order is also biologically weird and doesn't work biologically. So a lot of women end up not having children or having problems having children because they were told they can't fall in love and get married in their 20s or their early 30s. They need to wait. And so anyway, I think all that's really interesting.
Make one point on that. So
I want to make sure we have time for your poem.
You actually lived what you're preaching, right?
I did.
Rachel and I got married, and I was graduating from law school, I want to go back to Hayward, Wisconsin to practice law with my dad. This is small town, rural Wisconsin. It's cold. It's snowy. I love it there. It's my home.
I'm from Arizona, and I love the heat.
Rachel decided that she loved me and was willing to make this adventure with me in a small town. Again, traveled the world with her dad in the military and lived in bigger communities and had the benefits of a big community. And you move to this small town for love, and we then
2,000 people, by the way.
2,000 people. Then we went from Hayward to Ashland, where I was a DA. Then we ran for Congress and went to Wausau and had a congressional experience. We've kind of done this whole thing together, but you didn't. Again, I was not the catch of the seed.
Yes, you were.
And you're like, no, we're going to do this together because I love you, and you invested in our marriage, and we invested in our careers.
In our family. I was an at-home mom for 14 years. So during that period, I was an at-home mom. I did a few things. I had done television before I met Sean a little bit. And then obviously moving to a town of 2,000 in rural Wisconsin, put the ice on my career, let's just say. And then having baby after baby did too. I did a few things here and there. But basically, I didn't land my dream job until I was in my late 40s, which was Fox and Friends.
Fox and Friends.
And so, listen, did I do things in between? I did. And Sean was really supportive of helping me, do little gigs here and there. I got a contributorship at Fox. But I didn't land my dream job, which is my job at Fox and Friends, and it is a dream, until I was almost 50 years old. And, I'm not saying that's for everybody, but I'm just saying I was able to do it because I had a great husband and a great partner. And I wouldn't do it any other way because I want all those kids that we have as well.
We wouldn't send any of them back.
I wouldn't send any back. So I'm just saying the sequencing pressure on women is real. Do what you got to live your life. Obviously, if your career ends up, just flourishing in your 20s, well, then that happened to you. God bless you. That's awesome. But this idea that you have to hold off or you have to have a certain pot of money in order to get married or have a kid is ridiculous. It's never been done that way.
We would have never gotten married and never had kids.
Oh my God, ever. But every time I had a baby,
that's true.
There's a Spanish saying that says babies are born with a little loaf of bread under their arms. And it's true. Every time we had a baby, we got a little bump in our income.
Something happened. Some deals. It was.
Okay, so let's get to this because AI is kind of a big thing now, right? Go ahead.
So I did Outnumbered yesterday, and one of the segments on Outnumbered was men who are using ChatGPT, which is an AI platform, and they're using that platform to write poems to their loved ones, their girlfriends or their wives, and I was on the couch. I'm like, that is a great idea. That is awesome.
So how does it work?
And wait, hold on. And the women on the couch were like, that's horrible.
I thought the same thing. I was listening to him and he was saying, yeah, why wouldn't I allow a robot? I came home and
she's like, why didn't you talk to me before you gave that answer? I'm like, because that's the right answer. Men need some help with some poems.
With love poems. And by the way, we tried this on Fox and Friends over the weekend. Pete did an AI poem about Will. And it was actually pretty good. But then when Sean said, yeah, I would totally do an AI poem, artificial intelligence, you give them certain data points, right? You tell them the name.
This is my first time. This was my first time using ChatGPT. I did it yesterday. I signed in and just put a couple things in there to see what kind of
you
poem.
Put in like my name, where we met, or what do you do? How does it work?
Should I read what?
But first explain how it works.
So you can put in a whole bunch of data points. I first put in Valentine's Day poem, and then I put a couple of different things
about me,
about us.
Okay.
Us and you in this little platform to see what it kicked out, and I just did it randomly twice. Next time I would use it, I could get a far better poem from AI. But by the way, I would think use AI as a tool to see what it generates, and then you can tweak it and modify it to make it your own.
That's fair enough. But when I did hear you say on Outnumbered that you thought it was a fabulous idea to have your love poem on AI and all the women attacked you for it, I was with the women.
I know you were.
And then he came home with the poem last night.
And then the men were with me, but not probably many men are watching Outnumbered, so I probably lost. So who's your audience? I always think of who's your audience. Okay, so you ready for my AI poem for you?
Yes.
24 years have passed us by, with 9 children and no goodbye. Our love has grown like a sturdy oak through the trials that life did evoke. we've had our laughs, we've had our tears, but our love has stayed through the years. We've watched Fox News and had great fun in our cozy cabin by the lake under the sun. Our love is like the tranquil lake. As we share each other, our hearts awake. We dance together through life's great joys and face its challenges without any noise, which is a lie because we have 9 kids.
There's a lot of noise in our life.
We've built a family strong and true with love and care. We've seen it through. And with each passing year, we know our love will continue to grow and glow.
Honey, that is so good.
So that's one. I did a couple of them, but we'll just leave it at that. But it's actually interesting. I think if you
He came home and read that to me, and I was like, I was impressed.
So sweet, honey. Wow.
Yeah. Except for the noise part.
We have noise in our house. But anyway, I think whatever tools you can use, because listen, some men are limited, like me, in their creativeness. And so if you have some tools out there to help you out, that's great. So it's actually, you know what I think? If you're going to, you want to get something a man wants to get something for their wife or their girlfriend, and they don't have a lot of style. What do? They ask other women in their life to help them find a gift that will be meaningful and fitting that their loved one will like.
He'll call my sister and
this
ask
is like
her.
asking, your wife's friend what you should get your wife. Get some ideas. I just got some ideas from AI. That's it.
Well,
it happens all the time.
I'm going to say bravo.
Thank you.
That was a lovely poem. It was super sweet.
Thank you.
Really great.
But it's
okay. Happy Valentine's Day. I know it's a day late, but happy Valentine's, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day.
And if you're watching us, I have my Daddy Chill shirt on. Lucia gave that to me for Father's Day. Daddy Chill. Chill Daddy. Listen, thank you for joining us on our podcast on this day after Valentine's Day. Love matters. Relationships matter. Families matter. Kids are great. They're hard work, but that's the best work that you'll do. So invest. Yeah. Invest in love. Invest in family, which is investing in your future. Investing in happiness and fulfillment.
That's right. Be happy. Right. From the kitchen table, bye, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day.
No, we're not doing that. If you like our podcast, you can rate, review, subscribe. Wherever you get your podcast, give us a high rating. Yeah. And there's some special out there on Fox Nation podcasts that you get. But I don't have that in front of me right now, so I can't tell you what that is. Or on Amazon, but you can listen to us ad-free.
Is it right here? Here it is. Here it is. Listen ad-free right there.
Listen ad-free with Fox News Podcast. Plus, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app. There you go.
That's right. Hope to see you around the kitchen table next week. Bye, everybody.